Hello, finance lovers. Welcome to the TEKNXS, a place where future investors come to get inspired. All of us know about economic problems all around the world. One of the major economic problems is poverty. This economic problem is the root cause of many other social evils in society. The World Bank and many economic organizations proposed a solution to poverty. The solution is known as UBI. Let's deep dive into today's topic. Before we go deeper into the process and implementation of UBI, we discover, what is UBI? UBI stands for Universal Basic Income. Universal Basic Income is an unconditional and regular payment made to every citizen of a country or territory with some difference in the amounts, keeping in view the demographic factors. These demographics may be age, sex, education level, income level, marital status, occupation. The idea of UBI is simple. Every legal resident of a country receives a monthly stipend to live above the poverty line. Let's call this the no-frills, culturally respectable standard of living. This amount is unconditional with the performance or working of labor. It's universal. Everyone receives the grant irrespective of rich or poor status. Grants are allocated to the individual members of society, not the families. Parents receive grants for their underage children. Grants for children may be smaller than for adults. The simple idea is, give everyone free money, no strings attached. Now we take a look at the pros of UBI. It's preferable to allot basic benefits to people due to some reasons like dignity and human rights. It's against humanity to leave some people as destitute in society. UBI helps to provide basic needs to live. In this way, no one remains destitute in the society. Simplicity. It provides the opportunity to live people a simple life, even in the time of crisis. Avoiding the bad features of mean testing, UBI protects members of a locality from stigma, work disincentive, barriers to worker flexibility. A guaranteed baseline income lets you free up to build more income through paid work. You need not worry about interactions with mean-tested benefits. UBI makes it clear, work always pays. Liberty. It can free people from state and influencers' involvement in their lives. Future-proofed. People do not prefer to go to the basic labor market. Instead, they prefer to do business and other activities to take risks and play a role in the development of the country. What are the cons? No contribution. Everyone will receive a basic income, even if they choose not to do anything. This will add pressure to the economy. If such people are large in number, it will affect national income badly. The marginal tax rate should be higher from now. Otherwise, everyone's net income will rise. It'll be difficult to manage finance in this situation. Unacceptable. Most politicians in the UK think these types of policies will not be acceptable to voters. Incentives. There is an objection to providing housing costs for UBI to achieve its goals. It will also need to replace housing costs. When we consider market costs, it's not easy to simply include the rent element. There will be a need to create a shortfall for some people and a surplus for others. The same applies in the case of childcare support. This is due to the fact that in different areas, the cost of living may differ within a country. People want to give tax differently as per income, but do not want discrimination in needs. They require the same needs as others. The argument of people makes it difficult to apply for a UBI. The schemes of UBI fail to know about the current system that is designed to provide payments only to needs. In the current system, money is spent on disability, high housing costs, and high child care costs. If the system of UBI applied without considering certain such elements, then either there would be a massive boost to people's income without considering needs or income fall. Both of these situations are not acceptable in the real world. What might it do for poverty? The redistributive effect of UBI is to be concentrated not on the poorest households, but on those having modest earnings. Those with modest earnings would benefit from non-means-tested payments. UBI will be better in a way, because additional withdrawals and taxation will be lower than the withdrawals of safety net benefits in the current system. Now we come to some experts' views. Nick Chernesek and Alex Williams Inventing the Future, which features a striking cover reading in block letters, Demand Full Automation, Demand Universal Basic Income, Demand the Future. Murray made his public reputation with a book-length attack on welfare called Losing Ground. He sold the book to publishers with a proposal stating, a huge number of well-meaning whites fear that they are closet racists, and this book tells them they are not. Now we discuss the future of basic income in rich countries. Basic income advocates need to let up on automation fantasies. There are viable paths for the implementation of the policy. There is a potential for a lot of progress in UBI, but for this purpose, UBI advocates need to be smart and thoughtful. In rich countries, there are 3 pathways to implement UBI: negative income taxes, child benefits, carbon dividends. Negative income taxes enable generous basic income payments at a reasonable cost. University of Michigan researchers Jessica Wiederspan, Elizabeth Rhodes, and Luke Schaefer, in one of the most important papers written about basic income in recent memory, ran the numbers and concluded that the combined cost of the Earned Income Tax Credit, supplemental security income, food stamps, cash welfare, school meal programs, and housing subsidies, you could fund a negative income tax at poverty line levels. Wiederspan, Rhodes, and Schaefer paper shows something important. Funding a guaranteed income to eliminating poverty is doable for a country as rich as the United States. Instead of thinking of UBI as one overarching goal, we could consider UBIzing specific programs. Food stamps have a negative income tax, but you can only spend on food. We can make it purely a negative income tax if we allow it to be spent on anything. The situation is even easier in European countries. Many already have guaranteed minimum income, schemes that function much like a negative income tax, layering more benefits on top of unemployment payments and other cash for extremely poor residents. The U.S. should start UBIzing the child tax credit and earned income tax credit benefits for parents. There is a need for universal child allowance creation. Another likely way that cash payments could come to rich countries is through a carbon cap and dividend, or fee and dividend system. Under these plans, carbon is taxed or permits for carbon emissions are auctioned off, and then the government refunds some of all of the revenue raised in the form of a per capita dividend check. Those initiatives to expand cash payments are attractive both because they have a very good revenue source and because they don't require the clawback of any other benefits. They'd straightforwardly reduce poverty for low-income families. Basic income's greatest promise is in the developing world. Finally, it's worth considering that the biggest potential for basic income isn't in the U.S., but in developing countries. Arvind Subramanian, the chief economist for the Indian government, issued a report in January endorsing the adoption of a universal basic income in that country. India has the infrastructure for a basic income. For years now, it has been building out the world's largest biometric database as a way to securely issue benefits. Tracking income is more difficult, which would render a negative income tax tough to implement, but a UBI is totally doable, and the payoff would be significant. According to Subramanian's report, spending a mere 2% of GDP on a UBI of 200 rupees, $11.60 per person per month, could cut the extreme poverty rate from 22% to 7%. A benefit of 400 rupees, $23.20 per person per month, could cut the rate to below 1%. If it fully applies, there will be a one-off reduction in poverty throughout human history. India's poverty line, according to analysis, is very low. It's only $51.80 per person per month. Many people above it will still remain poor by American standards, but ending up $1.70 per day poverty will be an immense achievement all time. Some countries are rich in natural resources. The potential in such countries having minerals is much greater. Iran has a program very much like a basic income. While winding down the country's extensive oil subsidies for citizens, President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad implemented a flat cash dividend paid out to every man, woman, and child in the country. Social conservatives like Ahmadinejad tend to also be a big welfare state and redistribution supporters. That helps explain their support from poorer parts of the country. Others can and should follow Iran's example. The biggest country where an oil-to-cash program could have a major impact in Nigeria, which has 182 million people and considerable oil wealth. But smaller oil states like Angola and Equatorial Guinea are promising places too. It's ultimately up to the citizens of developing countries to decide whether a basic income is what they want. We have our opinion about UBI. You may or may not agree with it. Basic income is the logical next step. And let's not fall prey to the myth that in poor countries or rich ones, a basic income is unaffordable or would discourage work to an excessive degree. What do you think about universal basic income? Will it have a positive or negative effect? Express your thoughts in comments. Thanks for watching it. Make sure to subscribe and turn the bell notification on so that you never miss an update.